Okay, so we are over to the console tab in Chrome Developer Tools. We're going to look through this, why it's useful, and we're going to be playing around with a few elements on a page as well in terms of JavaScript. Now, last but not least, because it's an extremely important part of development, mainly through JavaScript, because it's really good at showing you any errors that have occurred on a page. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going ahead and forcing an error, and we're going to be examining this in the console and also looking at why we might suffer if we weren't using this console. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. I'm going to open up my text editor. I'm going to go ahead over to global.js. Now I've already added this line, which I'll be explaining at some point. Now, for example, if I forget to include this bracket, or include sort of like a dot, or something silly like that, for example without the semicolon at the end of this line, where we set the value of shout to true, I'm going to go ahead and refresh and click here. Sorry, I'm going to go ahead and do something a bit worse. I'm going to go ahead and click there. Nothing's happening. Now, there's nothing worse than the behavior that you have written into your program to not work as expected. So what can I do without the script? I could go ahead and view the page source. I could look here. I could look through my source code for hours and hours, which I don't want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and load up the console, and we already can see an error here. Now, if we're not on here and we're just on elements, for example, we still get this little error down here. And there's a tooltip which you can't quite see in the screencast with one error. So it tells us we've got one error. I'm going to go ahead and just double click on this, and lo and behold, the actual console pops up here, and we can use the console on any of these pages because it's really flexible and allows us to do certain things while we're doing other things as well. And you'll see why it's so useful in just a moment. So we have an unexpected token here. It tells us the line that it's on as well, which is line 3. And brilliantly, if we click on this, it takes us through to here in the resources tab, which we've already looked at, and it gives us the error where it's happened. So we can see the error where it's happened. Now this is useful because although we might have missed something because we just haven't seen it and it's hard to pick things up, we can now see that, oh yeah, I can see that there's a bracket missing there now because this error has been displayed, where this is. So we can go and correct that. And that is a brilliant way to go ahead and debug JavaScript if it's just small errors. So that's one of the reasons, or one of the really good ways that we can use this, and really useful things that we can do with this. The other thing is logging to the console. Now, if I go over to the console, you can see we've got done here, and that's because I've added this line, console.log. Now, when you're creating a program and you want to log things at certain stages to get some information back for yourself or for the user, there might be an error. You can actually use the log to log certain things. So at this point, I've just logged done for no reason, and that just happens after the alert dialog. But obviously, you can log more advanced things, for example, units, values. If you're doing anything mathematical, you might want to log that back to the console so you can keep an eye on things as you're writing and testing any programs. So that's another really useful thing to do as well. Obviously, we've already looked at errors, but we can also manipulate or run JavaScript on this page. So, for example, when we click here, we have this variable, which is, if we go to scripts, shout, and we alert that out. Fair enough. Now, what happens if we want to go ahead and manipulate this? Well, I can go ahead and say var shout is equal to false. Go ahead and run that. Fine. Click here and... Oh, of course, sorry, we can't do that because when we click, it sets the value already. So instead, let's go ahead and just alert something out. So, for example, I could alert out hello. And there we go. We can see something. So I could even alert shout. and it's false because we've already set it false here. So we can do a variety of things in the console with JavaScript. What we can also do is we can target elements, and we can do this really easily with the following syntax. So for example, we could force this event. So this here, if we inspect it, has an ID of click underscore here. So I could say hash click underscore here dot click. And what this will do is it will force the event. So when I press enter, oops, oh no, sorry. There we go. So I've just typed in the ID here and it said true. The reason it's true is because I forced the click event here of this element here. So that's another way to do it. I could also go ahead and say click underscore here dot inner HTML is equal to click me. Oops, sorry. Let's just go ahead and copy this again. There we go. So it's changed. So we can change things on the page as well. Now that's obviously not entirely useful because we can do that through clicking here. But you can now see that we can utilize the power of controlling JavaScript in our own way, outputting things how we want, modifying things within JavaScript, and we can also modify the DOM using JavaScript to perhaps test things that we might want to implement with JavaScript later on. So that's the console. It can appear in its own tab, or you can have it open in any other tab that you want to open in Chrome Developer Tools. So that's the console tab in Chrome Developer Tools.